This law makes this the most significant investment in roads and bridges in the past 70 years. It makes the most significant investment in passenger rail in the past 50 years and in public transit ever.
In the US, is rail travel common? Compared to other first world nations, Americans rarely take the train. Why? With more than twice as much track as China, America has by far the greatest rail network in the world. However, in terms of ridership, it trails other first world nations considerably. Train travel is not something that most Americans prioritize when it comes to getting around the nation. In fact, the number of passengers traveling by rail in the US is lower than in many other industrialized countries. It's possible that this is the case because several of these nations invest significantly more in their rail infrastructure than in the US, with China making the largest investment. Investment in American rail is increasing. Revenue from the production of rail cars in the US, including those for freight trains, is anticipated to reach $2.9 billion by 2028. Between 2021 and 2026, North American investments in passenger rolling stock, which includes high-speed rail, light rail, metro, passenger coaches, and locomotives, are projected to rise at a rate of 4.7% annually. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act passed in 2021 and allocating $66 billion to bolster the country's rail network has had a significant positive impact on the rail industry. The largest investment in bridges and roads in the last 70 years is now possible thanks to this law. The largest investment ever made in public transportation and passenger rail in the previous 50 years. What do you guys think about this investment? Is that worth it? Rail travel in the US sometimes seems like a sentimental memory from the past. Others hope that improved train infrastructure will lead to more economic growth outside of major areas and a more integrated, less crowded nation. The potential benefits of proposed high-speed rail projects are enormous, but only if they can successfully navigate political and logistical obstacles. High-speed rail allows travelers to cover huge distances more quickly than they might with a train or an aeroplane across Europe and Asia. Trains move more quickly than 125 miles per hour on high-speed rail routes. Although existing tracks can be used, curves, inclines, and the age of the tracks might limit the train's speed. The US passenger rail operator Amtrak, which is controlled by the federal government, will receive a sizable portion of the funds, which will be used for new trains and modernization initiatives. The intercity passenger train service, which will be managed by individual states in collaboration with the federal government, will receive about $36 billion. Improvements to the rail system will cost about $5 billion, while eliminating railroad crossings will cost about $3 billion. Private businesses like Brightline also want a piece of the action. Its passenger rail service in Florida is already fully operational, and its sister firm, Brightline West, is constructing a high-speed passenger rail line between Las Vegas and Southern California. Brightline West is asking for $3.75 billion in federal assistance for this project through the infrastructure package. As the funds essentially reach the agencies after the allocation procedure, we are currently observing an increase in demand. So in the next 5 years, the market is expected to rise around 20% annually. Manufacturers must follow rules requiring the federal government to favor US-made items in its purchases in order to benefit from this federal funding. The first of these laws was passed in 1933, although the standards have become stricter over time. As a result, many of the biggest manufacturers of passenger trains in the world are expanding their US operations. For instance, Beijing-based CRRC has invested $135 million in 2 American production plants since establishing its US headquarters in Massachusetts in 2015. Hitachi, a Japanese company, is constructing a $70 million rail manufacturing facility in Maryland at the same time. Well, I believe that funding has played a role in why passenger rail in the US has historically been a little slow, and it's amazing to see how much federal funding other countries receive. The only thing we're missing was federal support, and now that we have it, I believe the business will develop significantly. But it remains to be seen if these significant investments will be sufficient to persuade Americans to embrace train travel. In order to understand how Siemens and Alstom have increased the production of passenger trains and what they believe believe the future of passenger rail in the US will look like, CNBC visited both of the largest passenger rail car manufacturers in the nation. We are at Sacramento, California, location of Siemens Mobility, which employs 2,500 people. Since this plant is entirely vertical, we construct the automobile shells literally from sheet metal and metal components. The bogies, which are the trucks that the cars run on, are created after car shells. Then we begin the assembly process, which entails fitting a rail car with all of its necessary components, including its seats, sidewall liners, air conditioners, galleys, and other amenities. Siemens is a worldwide conglomerate with its main office in Munich, Germany. Its business sectors include digital industries, smart infrastructure, medical devices, and mobility. The business reported revenue of $79 billion in its most recent full-year financial report. Since 1984, Siemens Mobility has been producing metro cars, streetcars, light rail vehicles, passenger coaches, and locomotives in the US. Siemens now operates 9 rail production sites around the nation, with a 10th under construction in North Carolina. More than 3,000 locomotives, passenger coaches, and light rail vehicles have been produced at its 64-acre, 710,000 square foot Sacramento complex, which also acts as the company's North American train manufacturing headquarters. Around 250 vehicles can be built at the plant each year. Customers have the option of purchasing passenger coaches and powered locomotives as full train sets or each type of vehicle separately. Here, light rail vehicles make up around 1/3 of their sales, with the other 2/3 consisting of both locomotives and passenger cars. Transit systems in San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, and San Diego are just a few of the cities that have purchased light rail vehicles from Siemens. According to Siemens, it produces 2/3 of the country's light rail carriages. Amtrak, however, is Siemens Mobility's biggest client in the US. A contract worth over $3.4 billion was awarded to Siemens in the summer of 2021 to produce and maintain 83 train sets to replace Amtrak's deteriorating fleet along the Northeast Corridor and on a number of state-supported lines, notably those in Vermont and Oregon. According to Siemens, the project's design phase is complete. The first vehicle is in production, and deliveries will begin in 2024 and end in 2030. Siemens has been contracted by Florida-based private rail company Brightline to design and produce locomotives and passenger carriages. Phase 2 of Brightline's project, which connects Miami with Orlando, is now complete. In the future, service will be extended to Tampa. For the business, Siemens has produced a total of 10 train sets, and it is now building 20 more coaches for Brightline. Bright interiors, large windows to permit that a comfortable ride, and top speeds of 125 miles per hour were all part of the design work we undertook for Brightline. A $989 million contract with Siemens also calls for the construction of 32 train sets for Canadian passenger railroad company Via Rail. 5 of those train sets have already been supplied by the business. Siemens is constructing a new $220 million manufacturing facility in Lexington, North Carolina, which will be located on 200 acres in order to meet demand and purchase supplies for America. When it first opens in 2024, the new factory will have a capacity of around 12 automobiles per month. Siemens is a leader in the design and manufacturing of trains, as well as in rail signaling, communication-based train control, and the restoration of vintage rail vehicles. Alstom's train production facility is located in Hornell, New York, more than 2,600 miles away and on the opposite side of the country, building everything from high-speed commuter trains to light rail vehicles, metros, and the automated trains that shuttle travelers between airport terminals. Alstom purchased rail producer Bombardier Transportation in 2021. Therefore, the method used to manufacture trains largely depends on the kind of train you're producing. Consider it this way: everything is personalized. So, the process begins with the design, engineering of the train sets, followed by a prototype phase, prototype testing, and serial production. The first prototype cars usually arrive between 36 and 42 months after the order is placed. Once prototype automobiles are put into serial production, the program will last anywhere between 4 and 6 years, depending on the number of cars. The only project that is currently under construction is the high-speed rail system in California. In the United States, high-speed rail projects frequently face escalating costs and protracted delays due to issues including property rights battles and environmental reviews. However, other experts are of the opinion that the US only needs one successful high-speed train project to pave the way. People will understand that given how quickly traffic moves, taking the train is actually faster and more convenient than driving once the new generation of trains arrive. The same thing has occurred in Europe as well. Trains have mostly taken the place of short-haul aircraft. And that's all for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Express your thoughts in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time.